awakens within, when the songs of remembrance begin, the child of the Father is lost in the ocean of love, holding the hand of the guide through the path of confusion inside. Tears become pearls in the silence and passing of time. The song of remembrance is sung in unlimited rhyme. The song of remembrance is sung in unlimited rhyme. Dance away to the beautiful music you wanted to play. Dance away in your heart. Dance away to the beautiful music you wanted to play. Dance away in your palace of mirrors reflect the secrets within you reject. A hat of some status disguising the kingdom of light. The room of your heart you vacate, when the hotel of sorrows your fate. Locked in a jungle of questions, the fortune of hell. The strings of attachment draw masters right under the spell. The strings of attachment draw masters right under the spell. Dance away to the beautiful music you wanted to play. Dance away in your heart. Dance away to the beautiful music you wanted to play. Dance away in your heart. Wearing the armor of light, with the weapons of knowledge to fight. The battle within against weakness is fought in the mind. The gods of attention await, the last bugles blown at the gate, and spiritual warriors with hearts full of courage won't hide. Your guaranteed victory is tribute with God by your side. Your guaranteed victory is tribute with God by your side. Dance away to the beautiful music you wanted to play. Dance away in your heart. Dance away to the beautiful music
Good morning, everybody. And I know it's good evening to you, but it's Monday morning and I'm in Melbourne at the moment. At our beautiful retreat center in Baxter. And I'm here till tomorrow. And then I go to Adelaide, where we have a new center, which is exciting for all the family there. But it's really special for me to be visiting Mississauga and Canada once again. I was saying before we started, I seem to be visiting you subtly, constantly these days, but that's my good fortune. I think, I'm just going to share a few thoughts about the subject of blind spots, and yeah, it's lovely to have some interaction, some chit chat with the family. I love to move around the cycle. And when we begin the cycle, the soul is in the full bloom of self-respect. I think it's hard for us to imagine how we feel internally at the beginning of the Golden Age, the feeling of complete well-being and joy, I think is almost unimaginable at this point of time. But we are the old souls who've been on the longest journey, and we've been through the Golden Age, through the Silver Age. We come into the Copper Age. And as we all know, in the Copper Age, I begin to accumulate a few weaknesses, a few defects, a few shortcomings. And after a while, they become habits or a part of my character. And I feel bad about them. I don't like to see this in myself. I find it hard to accept the reality of my own weakness. So consciously or subconsciously, I begin to deny them to myself because it's too uncomfortable to be open about it. And this is where blind spots begin to be formed within me. And sometimes I think, what is body consciousness? Body consciousness is just one massive blind spot. I see myself completely in a false way. I see myself as a temporary body, but the truth, the reality is that I'm the permanent soul. And so this body consciousness is the seed of so much self-deception, so much denial. And I think that when we meet Baba is like the eye surgeon. He comes to do some surgery on the third eye, really, so that we can really begin to see who we are. He becomes to restore our vision. But for Baba to restore our vision so that I can see myself as I am, as I truly am, I've got to really understand that I have a lot of spiritual blindness. I have many blind spots, parts of myself that I can't really access. And sometimes I think this is the greatest courage of our life. This is the greatest courage, to be willing to hold Baba's hand and say, yes, Baba, there are many things about myself I can't see. So with your help, I'm going to start to peel away the layers, the masks, the many masks that I've put on to show to the world. There's self-deception, the denial that I've really developed. But my own experience is that this amazing journey to true honesty in one sense is a wonder. Because when I have the courage to really remove my blind spots, what do I find? I find incredible beauty, incredible internal beauty. And this biggest blind spot of all is ultimately to my goodness and to my beauty. Most of us at the end of the cycle are complete and utter denial of my goodness. Even when so many around me see so many virtues in me, so many good things in me, I can't see much good in myself at all, if any good. And I remember my spiritual birth. I started in London, and I started with a friend at 98 Tennyson Road, those of you who've been to London. And it was a wonderful time because the three teachers were Daddy Janki, Sister Jenti, and Sadesh Didi. Wonderful, three amazing teachers. And there was a handful of Brahmins. My memory, about 15 or 20. And I started with a friend of mine, and you know, I can remember there was a period where Daddy would praise him a lot. He's a very special soul, very lovely personality. And I felt a bit jealous, as you do. And I noticed that sometimes I could see clearly I was under the influence of jealousy, but other times I couldn't see it. I would allow that nature of jealousy to take over. So sometimes I could see myself, sometimes I couldn't see myself. And I remember promising Baba at that time that if anything on this incredible life with God I wanted to achieve, it was to see myself absolutely clearly, to be able to, remove all the mist and the fog, the deception, the self-denial, to really know intrinsically who I really am. And sometimes I think this whole life is just peeling away the layers that I've built up on the path of bhakti. And really, I'd say the sign of a knowledgeful soul. What is really the sign of a soul who's absorbed truth into the core of their being? For me, it's really that I become the observer. Who is Baba? Baba is the complete and utter observer of this world drama, and we actors in this world drama. And when I think of this, I think, wisdom is to be the observer, the ultimate wisdom. And first, for the scenes of drama, I need to be a detached observer. We all know that's an incredible journey to watch them as a detached observer. For others, I need to be a benevolent observer. How did you like the Muli you read this morning? Wasn't that an absolutely brilliant Muli? To me, this is the effort to really move forward at this time. To have good wishes and pure feelings. I honestly believe the reason Brahmins get stuck, we get so stuck in the weakness or the shortcomings of another soul, and it just pulls me right down. And I feel I got to a point in my Brahmin life where I realized unless I see virtue, I can't move forward. I keep remaining stuck in my spiritual practice. So for the scenes of drama, a detached observer. For others, a benevolent observer. For myself, an honest observer. How clearly can I see myself? Can I be that objective to stand back so far and see my beauty, see the virtue, see the goodness, but also see the weakness without feeling hopeless, without feeling inadequate, without starting feeling heavy or bad? Because is my vision, do I have an emotional view of myself, a distorted view of myself? Sometimes do I have a fantasy? I think sometimes we even hold this sort of fantasy about what I am. I can't, because over the years I dream of what I would love to be, and I can't accept the reality sometimes of what I am. What is Gyan? I think Gyan is accepting the whole package of who I am. My beauty, my accumulated weakness, my capacity, the things I'm good at, the things that I am not so good at. One of the things that has really helped me in my Brahmin life is to know what I can do okay, but accept there are some things I'm not very good at. And that's actually a freedom, rather than trying to be everything to everyone or everything to yourself. And really appreciate that in the divine family, there are many souls who can do things which I can't do and I'm not good at. And that's absolutely a fact. And so I begin to, as a knowledgeful soul, see the whole package of who I am at the end of the cycle. My own experience is that there's layers of blindness. There's layers of blindness. There's a partial blindness, I would say, which is where I see myself sometimes. I can see, yes, this is my nature, this is my character, this is my sanskara, this is my shortcoming. But it makes me feel hopeless, it makes me feel bad, so I quickly shut it down. I quickly go into a denial state and pretend to myself that it doesn't exist, because it creates a lot of discomfort. Secondly, I think the second layer of blindness is just blindness itself, in the sense that I don't feel happy. I feel confused, I feel afraid maybe, and yet I cannot put my finger on it. I'm not feeling that good, I don't feel that great, I'm not happy, but I just cannot analyze or see clearly what the problem is. The real reason is I'm too afraid. I'm too afraid to dig deep and say, yes, this is something I've collected in the drama. This is a weakness. And because of my fear, I can't really pinpoint it. So on the one hand, I don't feel that happy, but on the other hand, I can't really find a solution. The third layer, first there is partial blindness, second blindness, the third is complete blindness. And this is where I'm not happy. I may be a bit confused, feel a bit afraid, all those feelings, but I cannot see anything wrong with me at all. But I have the vision, the 20/20 vision, to see what's wrong with everyone around me. And I would say that this is the ultimate state of ego, the ultimate state of ego, where I am so blind to myself, but I can see others' faults so clearly. And I really, really genuinely believe often that others are really the problem and not me. You know, sometimes I often feel in the Iron Age, there's that feeling, I'm fine, you're the problem. You know, to me, that is the ultimate blindness of ego, where I really can't see myself in a problem. I can't see how my character contributes to a situation in life. And so sometimes I'm partially blind, sometimes I'm just blind, and other times there's complete blindness. And it's my ego that really, you know, dumbs down my ability to really be able to see who I am. So how did we accumulate this blindness? And I think, you know, the path of bhakti, religion, you know, I feel a lot of love for religion in many ways, even though we know we became body conscious, but the intent of religions is so good. But what happened, I think, is religions talk about all the good things. You know, you should be loving, you should be kind, you should not turn the other cheek and all that sort of stuff, you know, be very virtuous. But they were in denial of impurity, basically. And so as impurity grew, especially in the Iron Age, we couldn't do much about it because there wasn't really a method to heal it. So we kept suppressing, we kept suppressing. And what that did is it developed a double personality. So I have a personality I present to the world. I may be very sweet, very gentle, very soft, but inside, there's a whole lot of other stuff going on inside of me. And, you know, sometimes inside, you know, I lack self-respect. I feel angry. I'm a bit lustful, all these sorts of things, but I don't show it because it doesn't look nice. And so I've sort of developed this personality I show to the world, this personality inside, which I don't like, I suppress and I become sort of blind to that. I keep pushing it away because it's just uncomfortable. And I don't want to feel that's me. Then about 150 years ago, psychology was born purely with the aim to, really say that all of us have a dark side, every human soul. Baba tells us every day, children, you've become body conscious, you've become impure. So psychology really was born to be more honest about the reality of the soul at the end of the cycle, though they don't understand it's the end of the cycle. But the problem with that is that they almost went the other way. Rather than denial, started to indulge so deeply why I'm like this, my family history, just go into all the problem. And so we analyze the problem, but don't really have the power for a solution. So in a way, religion's suppressed, psychology indulges, but spirituality, I feel, is about really being very honest, trying to really be objective. Honest to me is not just my weakness, it's about my beauty. I've got to have a balanced honesty. I've got to know the goodness inside, because my experience is when you know your value, when you know your goodness, you can look at your weakness. If you only see your weakness, you'll feel so hopeless that you will keep denying the weakness. And so this is really how we've ended up at the end of the cycle. And Baba really encourages us to be incredibly honest. What does he say? The Lord is pleased with an honest heart. And what that really means is that I develop the glasses of truth, and I begin to see myself, not with emotion, but begin to try to see really who I am, my beauty, and what is the obstacle in my way. What are the things that I've developed which are blocking me moving forward? And even sometimes learning how to identify things that I've been blind to up until now. And sometimes I think there's 4 windows on the soul. In the sense, there's the shop window, when you can look in the window and you can see. And that really means that there's a part of me I let everyone see. There's a part of my personality which I allow everyone to see. I'm very open about. The second is the facade. And I would say, when you look at a shop window, sometimes they've pulled down the blind. You can see the shop, but you can't see what's inside. There are some things inside of us that we keep totally private. We may not tell anybody. These may be some wishes I have, some desires. Maybe I have some secret attraction or pull to somebody. It may not be that gross, but there's just a little bit. I just allow this to keep going. I may have a bit of a fantasy about some things or someone, and these are private. Maybe if I have a close friend I totally trust, I may share some of these things. So there's the shop window, the part of me I allow everyone to see. There's a part of me that I keep private. The third window is the unknown, and that's really our subconscious. This is our sanskaras, which is all our tendencies and our habits and so on. Some even say that 80 to 90% of our behavior is influenced by our subconscious habitual patterns and nature. And the fourth one is my blind spots. And my blind spots are things that basically everyone can see, but I can't see. Someone once said to me, "Can you see the back of your head here? Can you see it?" I can't see the back of my head, but everyone else can see it. Everyone else can see it. And that's why sometimes, I can't see my weaknesses or my prejudices or different things in my character, my personality, that others can see clearly. And this also includes my beauty, that others can really see. I've met so many BKs who I would say are so sweet, absolutely lovely. Everyone's heart goes to this soul, and yet the soul virtually sees no value in themselves. And so there's 4 windows. And what is spirituality? In a way, for the unknown part of myself, we have Gyan and yoga. Because we realize these impure sanskaras, we study, we remember Baba to start to heal my sanskaras. But for my blind spots, I really need honesty. I really need a level of gyan where I become so objective to see myself. And this is where often I think we have a wonderful Brahmin family. I'm sure you would agree. We have this incredible Brahmin family. And the Brahmin family becomes so cooperative because whether you want them to or not, they may let you know about your blind spots. And, you know, we can feel hurt by that. We can feel angry by that. We can feel upset, but actually it's a really useful thing. You know, we had one sister in Australia, a very old sister. And a few years ago, she wrote to 20 of us, and she wrote a very, very sweet letter. And she said, I'm really trying to go deeper into the awareness of myself. I'd love you to tell me what are the weaknesses that you see in me that you feel would help me improve or change. Pretty honest there, actually, because, you know, how many of us would have the courage to do that and to really listen to that? But actually, the Brahmin family can be a little bit of a mirror. But I think many of us think, well, okay, I have this, you know, these blind spots, but how do I really find them? How do I really drill down to know what are these things which are probably influencing my peace and happiness in my life? I would say probably 3 things indicate where a blind spot is. Real sensitivity, feeling something that I feel very sensitive about, firstly. Secondly, where I feel quite uncomfortable. Now, I might be in a situation and I just feel really uncomfortable. There's something in me which really feels uncomfortable, you know, like that. And thirdly, I feel very defensive. Someone says, oh, I think you're like, no, I'm not like that. What do you mean? You know, and we become really, sometimes quite angry and aggressive. I think if I'm feeling a bit sensitive, if I'm feeling a bit uncomfortable, if I feel quite defensive, it's covering something, and it's good because it's starting to tell me to look below that sensitivity, to look below that discomfort, to look below that defensive nature, and perhaps to see what is sitting in there. And the tracks to blinds that lead me to these blind spots are often, you know, sometimes how we say, oh, this always happens to me. You know, I'm in a relationship. I start a relationship, and then every time it goes in a similar direction. Every time there's a repetitive pattern. I get close to someone, and then they get uncomfortable, they move back, they do this, they do that. And yet I can't see why this repetitive pattern is really beginning to happen with me. And this is where I think, you know, really to be detached from myself, the honest observer, to say, well, you know, why do these repetitive patterns happen in relationships? You know, and I think what happens is sometimes I have the same relationship with different people. I have the same relationship with different, in other words, the same patterns keep developing with different people in my life. And you know how the Brahmin family will sometimes tell you things like, you don't include me. I feel I do. But one person says it, a few people say it. And I keep saying, no, I do. You know, but actually other people have a different experience of it. Or some feel I keep interfering in their area of responsibility. I'm a bit of a control freak. And, you know, I can't see it. I cannot see it in myself. Or some feel I don't listen. I feel I do, but others keep telling me I don't listen. Or some may say you're a bit dominating. You're a bit of a dominating personality, whereas I don't see it myself. And so what happens is I start to get feedback from others, which is very different from how I see myself. My self-concept, what the reality I've created in my mind about who I am is actually quite different from how other people see me. And I think this is where a lot of courage is needed, to actually say, well, I need to look at this because I see that I am inclusive, that I do listen, that I am this, I am that, but others don't experience that. And that's where actually I feel the Brahmin family can be a huge help for me to learn more deeply, to identify some of my blind spots and really see what they are and where they are. It does need a lot of courage. And, if I always think, I reflect and I think I'm one thing, but other people think I'm something else, then I think I really need to really look deeply. And sometimes it's a huge relief just to say, yes, it's true. I am like that. Because I often feel I haven't come here to become defensive. I've actually come here to transform. And if I can transform the things I know about, well and good. But if there's a lot of stuff and I feel, if I'm working in the Brahmin family and repetitively people get upset with me, and then I really react about that, but actually I've got to look, what is it in me that keeps disturbing other people? And sometimes this is my karmic story. And it's not easy to accept. I really understand that because my intent is the highest. My intent is to be so good. But there's some things in my personality that upset people or disturb people, whatever that may be. And this is where I've been really, I really have to be careful to look deeply. And honestly, I think this is the sign of a true effort maker. A true effort maker will have this pure wish to see myself with clarity. Who am I really? What are the weaknesses I do have? And this, I think, is a great freedom. So, I look at the unknown and I change these deep-rooted sanskaras, but I also look at my blind spots, the things that keep disturbing other people or disturbing situations, and I get this repetitive feedback, but often I will not listen to it because it creates discomfort. When I have the courage to say, okay, I'm going to really look at this and see what it is that is really sometimes affecting, especially in my relationships with working with others. And yet, I think that from my own experience, we have this massive double blind spot, huge. And this is my own research into me. And I often talk about this because it helped me understand really deeply how I accumulated weaknesses, how I accumulated blind spots, and also how I begin to see them and shed them. Because I think at the end of the cycle, we have those three personalities. Two of them make me completely blind to who I am, and one of them starts to give me that real sense of clarity and purity about the original self. And the first one is really my ego. And my ego is so sensitive, so much in denial that I can't see my weakness. It's my ego that makes me blind because I just feel so ashamed, guilty, heavy, bad, and I just can't bear that feeling. So my ego makes me blind. And really that is a powerful blindness. I think, as I said, the feeling that I'm fine, you're the problem. The second massive blindness is my lack of self-respect. My ego is blind to my weakness. My lack of self-respect is blind to my goodness, my beauty. And this is why I think this is our biggest blindness, because when Baba comes to speak to us, always Baba says, children, you are the angels. Children, you're the deity souls. Children, you're the ancestor. He's always trying to lift us out of this blindness, this addiction to a negative vision on myself. I find so many of Baba's children, for so many years, they love Baba, they have faith in Baba, they do service, but they don't let go of this blindness to their own beauty. We are addicted to feeling bad or negative about myself. So this addiction to the old vision. I often feel that, you know, what is this life? It's stepping out of this addiction to this old vision on myself and stepping into Baba's vision. And this is how I heal my blindness. Because when I step into Baba's vision, his vision is on my deity sanskaras. His vision is on the original beauty. And when I have the courage to accept that, you come to a place of strength. You feel strong. You've empowered yourself by seeing your beauty, and therefore you're more able to be objective about your weakness. You can then look in that place of self-respect. I feel more self-respect. I can see, yes, I can see that actually, you know, I am an angry person sometimes, you know. I am forceful. I am controlling and dominating sometimes. You know, I am this and I am that. And I take responsibility for it. I take responsibility for it. This is Gyan. You know, I think the habit to see others, how deep is it? We all know, to this pa-chintan, this thinking about others. Not even negative thinking, but just always my mind is thinking about people and their behavior and how they should be and what's going on. You know, that's a whole state of mind, a product of a body-conscious culture. Our culture is swachintan, pure thoughts of the self, where I have to really accumulate, stay in Baba's vision, see the self, and start to see clearly what are the main weaknesses that I've created. And really go underneath those sensitive places, those uncomfortable places, those places where I'm defensive, and see, well, what's hiding underneath there? Why do I feel sensitive? Why am I uncomfortable in this situation or with this personality? We often blame them, but it's not them, it's me. It's my sanskaras that are sort of feeling uncomfortable. And really, that's wisdom, to really look at it and start to delve deep. Because I think that, you know, when I start to use Gyan and Yoga to transform sanskaras, but I really use this honesty and Gyan to sort of really be objective about myself at this point of time. Even if you have a really close friend that you trust deeply, say to them, tell me really what do you see as my main shortcomings? What are my main issues that I, if you were me, moving forward, that I really want to get rid of in this Brahman life? That's why I've come here, to change. What are they? And I think when we're that honest, I think, and we have a friend who we know their intent is only to help, it's not to pick fault in me. Sometimes this is spiritual friendship that can help. But I remember also Daddy Genki, you know, she used to say, you know how Baba often says there's three main relationships: the father and the mother, the father and mother, one, the teacher and the Satguru. I remember Daddy Genki sometimes used to say that the fourth main one is Dharamraj, meaning that can I see Baba so clearly? Can I make Dharamraj as like a complete mirror to see myself? I look at myself in the mirror of God's truth and try to be as detached and objective as possible to see really, yes, the beauty, because there's so much beauty there for the majority of the cycle, but the accumulated weakness. Because it's this accumulated weakness which is really my main obstacle in being happy, my main obstacle in relationships in the family, and my main obstacle in yoga is really my shortcomings that often I'm blind to. And I think that when, you know, sometimes even Dad used to say, I sit in yoga and I come in front of Dharam Raj, not with fear or feeling judged, but to see in that mirror of absolute truth and purity, who am I? Do I have that courage? I think Baba really wants us to have such a courage because, you know, transformation is a really deep thing. Sometimes I think when we come to Baba, our transformation is instant, but it's a bit superficial. It's just habits. And habits are based on this life, family, culture. These are things like sleeping, eating, behavioral things. Then we start to move along on this Brahman journey and we come into like the growing up phase in Brahman life where we come to challenges. There are challenges. But with Gyan and yoga, I start to deal with them. I often feel the second phase is soft sanskars. I call them soft sanskars. Sanskars that have been formed in the last few births. Seeing defects, twisting the truth a bit, lying a little bit, just not too much, but just twisting it. Intolerance, impatience, subtle prejudices, etc. And when I identify them, I begin to change them. But often I think Brahmins have a midlife crisis. And that's really when, you know, after 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, a whole lot of rubbish emerges in me that I thought I'd changed years and years ago. And quite frankly, a lot of Brahmins get quite disturbed by this because I've been a Brahmin for so many years and all this rubbish comes in me. Why? Because when I start in Gyan, I have my bhakti sanskara to suppress, first of all. So I look the Brahmin, I wear the white clothes, I've got my badge on, you know, but inside I'm still suppressing the rubbish. And at some point it's going to come out. It's not wrong. I used to think, oh, it shouldn't happen. But to me, it's a part of the journey. And this is when I really go deep because there's these deep, hard sanskaras that have been created since the beginning of the Copper Age. Lack of self-respect, insecurity, fear, all these sorts of very deep things that have been scored in the soul. And because of them, they've given birth to many sort of forms of denial, avoidance, blind spots, because it's just too uncomfortable. I didn't know how to change them. And because I didn't know how to change them in Bhakti, I just kept suppressing them. And that's what happened after many years in Gyan. Sometimes a lot of rubbish comes out. It's not going backwards. Actually, it's progressing. Because then I think I become more honest with myself and more honest with this life of transformation when I really begin to see this rubbish emerging. And so, you know, I think we're on this incredible journey. And I feel that it's best just to say to Baba, Baba, you know, I'm on this journey with you. I've come here to change. And take Baba's help, take Baba's wisdom to really be so objective, such an honest observer that I can really see who I am and what I need to change. So I'm watching the time, but if anyone would like to, anyone would like to ask a question.
Om Shanti. If there's anyone, you can just raise your physical hand or your digital hand and we will unmute you and you can ask that box as well.
Om Shanti. Thank you, Jolly Bhai, for such a lovely sharing. I had a question in regards to the introspection part. Since we're talking about blind spots, it does need us to see ourselves clearly. So there have to be methods for us to know what's the best way to see ourselves. Usually, what I understand is that we should be in silence. We should be able to clearly, see all aspects, all kind of behaviors we have been into, and see ourselves inside out. But would you like to suggest any uh, best way to introspect ourselves?
Yes, there's a few ways, I think. Thank you. One I really feel is that unless we're in a place of strength, we can't really see clearly. So that's where I think to begin by sitting in front of Baba, taking his drishti, feeling Baba's drishti of love and respect. So you're in a good place to be objective. And then really to look at my life, secondly, and look at if there's some things I feel very uncomfortable about. There's either it's a situation, it's a personality, it's something I have to face. There's a real discomfort, and just say, Baba, help me look what is hiding underneath this discomfort. What is hiding underneath this sort of, this whatever it may be. And look deeper, deeper, deeper. Sensitivity, incredible sensitivity about certain things. It may be that just a little bit of criticism, and I feel so sensitive about it, so hurt by it, unnaturally overreacting in this sort of way. And then just have the courage to just look deeper, look deeper. If I'm finding it hard to still put my finger on it, if I have a friend, a Brahmin friend, whom I'm really close to, who I can even say, this is how I'm feeling. I can't quite see it clearly. Can you help me? Because sometimes I think others can be objective. The way we've ended up at the end of the cycle, we can see others clearly. Myself is not as clear as I can see others in that way. And the main thing I feel is not to feel hopeless, because why am I here? I've come to God to change. I'm not here to defend my weakness or say, I'm here to say, yes, it's true. And I think when I accept that actually, I am this or I am that, and I have the courage to say, even though it's a temporary state, it's not that I identify with it, I can begin a process of change. I know for me, I had such a realization after 10 years of being in Gyan about a lack of self-respect and how a lack of self-respect influences everything in life. It influences your relationships, it influences your performance at work, it influences how you feel as a person, it influences your health, everything. And so I began to see its effect, and I decided to make a plan to transform that weakness. And so I used Gyan. So I noticed that whenever a situation was where I felt a lack of self-respect, and sometimes it's with a particular personality, sometimes it can be with authority figures, sometimes it can be in expressing my opinion. There's many areas. Rather than just bow down to the sanskara and allow that sanskara to take me over, I practice something from Baba's Gyan. And you may be 1% successful, 2% successful, 5% successful, 10%. You chip away and you start to see that I can actually change. Because quite frankly, I feel that we know we can change our habits. We know we can change soft sanskaras, but I think many of us have a lot of self-doubt. Can I really change this fear? Can I really get rid of my insecurity? Can I really overcome the addiction? And I purposefully use the word, the addiction of low vision on myself, lack of self-respect, putting myself down, feeling inferior, feeling unworthy, not feeling good enough. This is the programming which is so powerful. And, you know, to actually heal from this deep programming, it's, you know, you have to make efforts over many, you know, years, really, just to deprogram myself from these habitual patterns I've collected in the second half of the cycle.
Charlie Bhai, we have two questions right now. We have Rakesh Bhai and we have one on the chat box. So the question is, what if it's just one soul? It's not many souls, it's just one soul that keep, pushing the wrong button where we get aggressive. Like, how do I address this aspect of my sanskar? It's not many souls, just one soul that I have problems with.
But I remember Baba spoke about that once. And Baba said, if you're sweet with 99, but not good with one, it means you still have the sanskara. You still have the sanskara. And I mean, that's why this morning's Morley, what was it? Baba kept saying, it's good wishes for all. That's how I clear all these mental accounts with people. And you know, sometimes I used to have the thought that, you know, I have 100 friends and contacts, and, you know, 99 love me and one hates me. Who do I think about? Who do I think about? I get obsessed with this person. We get obsessed. And we've got to understand that, why don't I think, isn't it great 99 love me? It just shows me the state of mind at the end of the cycle. Rather than feeling so fortunate that I have so many loving, close relationships, I get absolutely hurt and damaged by one relationship that doesn't work. Because sometimes there's such a deep account with an individual, there's not a lot I can do except become a detached observer and try to clear it mentally. Because the weakness we have is we just dwell on that individual. We go around our why? What does Baba said in the last week? Those who ask why and what, it's superficial spirituality. I haven't understood drama. I haven't understood the knowledge. When I keep questioning, the drama's perfect. And if it's always, why are they like, why are they going on? Why? This is me, it's not them. I have a superficial understanding of Gyan when I'm always questioning, really. A true Gyani soul observes the drama and understands it's perfect. Each soul's playing their part, even if it's a part full of aggression and difficulty. I cannot change them. If I keep questioning them, actually that's my weakness. I've got to be detached. If I can help them, if I can support them, I will. But sometimes you can't. And occasionally we all have an account that's really powerful. And I used to have this little saying for myself, am I increasing my account? Am I sustaining my account? Or am I settling my account? If something happens, someone does something, and I think. And then I start to speak to people, no, they've done this and that. I would say I'm increasing my account. If something happens, someone behaves badly, I think. Even in meditation, I'm thinking about it. I would say I'm sustaining my karmic account. But if something happens, bad behavior, whatever, and I look at it through Gyan, I actually apply truth. And I say, this is the soul's part, this is the soul's sanskaras. My part is not to be influenced, my part is to have goodwill. I would say I'm settling my account. But I think we're so overthink, you know, so much we overthink and react. This is my impurity, actually. If, once again, that's a blind spot. We think it's them. We still think it's them, their bad behavior that's the problem. It's not. It's my reaction to the bad behavior, which is the problem. You know, Gyan is about taking full responsibility for me, full responsibility. And really, I feel as BK, sometimes we keep getting influenced by each other, affected by each other, and coming under the influence of my reactions to other people.
Thank you, Brother Charlie. We have Rakesh Bhai, and then after Rakesh Bhai, we have one more question here. I think it's what you just shared. It's like, you know, what if you have shared your thoughts or your weakness or whatever with a Brahmin soul, and that Brahmin's vision towards you changes?
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting question. Yeah, I think that you haven't picked the right person to talk to. Because I really do feel, that's why we used to talk to the daddies, because the daddies could hear anything. And actually, I will tell you my experience with Dr. Nirmala. You can tell her anything. And actually, the more honest you are, the more she will give you love. The more honest you are, the more she will give you love. But some people get influenced. Yep. So I think then we haven't really found the right person to talk to. You know, we really need a detached instrument. Very detached.
Thank you, Brother Charlie. So we have Rakesh Bhai. I think he's been waiting patiently. And this would be the last question. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Rekha.
Thank you, Om Shanti, brother. My question is that, you know, I think, what if you are on the stage and you see only spots, lots of spots? Some are dark spots, some are big spots. How to go about it? Which spot you pick up to start with?
You know, that's why I was saying, I think a few times, that if I just start to look at my weakness, it makes me feel more vulnerable, more hopeless. And then I feel a bit down, and can I be pure, all this sort of stuff. But really, I first have to sit in Baba's vision. I first have to feel I am a deity, so there's so much beauty in me. I have to sit in a place of strength. And then there are many spots in all of us, but the root spots, there's roots of all the spots. Like ego may grow hundreds of little weaknesses, but I've got to go to the seed. And I would say, focus on one thing. I'm a great believer that if you try to make too many efforts, you never see progress. Do one thing properly. And what two main efforts I've made over many years are to really practice soul consciousness, really do research, like research in the laboratory of your mind. And the other one is self-respect. And I think when your self-respect comes back, that almost will heal 90% of the spots, literally. So I've got to see what's underneath this spot, what's underneath. You know, this is Gyan, to go to the core. My experience is the core weakness is that I've lost my self-value. I can't see the good in myself. I've got to work on that. And when you see that good, it will automatically heal many of the little spots. This is the big stain on the soul. And that's why I was saying the biggest blind spot is my beauty. And I find Brahmins who've been in Gyan so many years, such good Brahmins, they love Baba, they are dedicated, cannot see anything good in themselves. And actually this means I haven't really understood Gyan. I haven't really absorbed the depth of God's truth. Because I think the story of the daddies, they had no self-respect. They were like second-class citizens at that time, but they stepped into Baba's vision and accepted his elevated vision on them. And that's what we've got to do. I've got to have the wisdom to really see how Baba sees me. If I am more addicted to how I see myself, my old vision on myself, rather than Baba's vision, have I really recognized who Baba is? I don't think so. I'm still caught up in seeing my old self rather than seeing myself as Baba sees me. Anyway, unfortunately, I'm going to have to go too. So thank you, Rakesh. And
thank you, Charlie Bhai, a lot for all your precious jewels you shared with us today. And it's always great to have you among us. So since you worked so hard on two things, we only have 2 roses for you today. Next time you work on something more, we'll have some more.
Thank you, Raj. Beautiful.
For being with us, and we'll see you hopefully sometime soon.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brother Charlie.
Thank you, Raj. Thank you, Sister Sareka. Thank you, everybody. Great to be with you. See you again sometime. Om
Shanti.
Shanti. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Everybody wants, every one of us needs. I got wings on my back and I'm ready to live. There is love in my heart that will help me to start my journey to within. With faith I must begin. Everybody wants, every one of us needs. I got wings on my back and I'm ready to leave. Part of my soul wants to race through the skies to get what I want, to reach what I need. Part of my soul wants to race through the skies to get what I want, to reach what I need. On the top of the mountain, my troubles so small, I reach so high to embrace it all. On the top of the mountain, my troubles so small,